Canada's Entrepreneur Master Classes.
Take the Email Marketing Masterclass series of 3 webinars from Cyber Impact and become an email marketing expert. Complete the series and get your certificate. Sign up now and let's go.
Convert more leads with Cyber Impact targeted emails. Get 25% off for 6 months. Sign up now.
Hi, my name is Ryan from Cyber Impact, and today I'll be doing a presentation of our platform and a brief overview of all of the features that we have to offer. Let's get to it. When you log into your Cyber Impact account, you are first greeted by the dashboard. In this section, you can see highlights, so all the new features that we have to offer, tips and tricks on certain actions you might want to complete within Cyber Impact, and a brief overview of the last emails that were sent. Moving on to the groups section. In this section, you will be able to segment all of your contacts. So if we start off with add a group, give it a name, and then select a group type. You have 2 different options here. Static is something that will be populated a little bit more manually via either a subscription form on your website or a list import when you add contacts in your Cyber Impact account. A dynamic group is something that will be populated automatically based on the criteria you assign to it. So, for an example, if you select all criteria and you add 2 search criteria, let's go with the language is equal to English and the country of residence is equal to Canada. If you go save, all of the contacts that have these criteria filled out in their contact sheet will be automatically put into this group. So this is a way that allows you to easily segment your contacts based on the criteria that they have without needing to do too much research into where am I putting people, who has what filled out. This will do it automatically for you. In the Groups tab, you have groups and deleted groups. If ever you do delete a group, you have 30 days to get that group back. As you see here, I did a little bit of cleaning. Moving on to the Contacts section. Subscribed, so these are all the contacts that you're actually paying for. And in here, you can see there's one person subscribed, but this person, which is myself, is ungrouped. So this person won't be able to receive mailings as they aren't in a group within your account. And then you can also see grouped contacts. If you click on a specific contact, you can see the entirety of their contact sheet. So as you can see here, my name, my email address, how many mailings I've received, mailings opened, average open rate, mailings clicked, and last mailing opened on a specific date. And then you see all of the details that are associated with that email address. So company email address, a subscription date updated on, and so on. If you go custom fields, so these are fields that you would create specific to your business or the industry that you're in. So if we go click here, show fields with empty values, you can see here we have profession, number of visits, phone number, number of no-shows, cancellations, last visit, department. So you can put pretty much whatever you want. You can also see the type of consent that this contact has. So in this case, I have implied consent, source unknown, consent date, NA, and consent expiration. If there is one, none. If we go to history, you can see a complete detailed history of that contact from when they were added all the way up until the most recent activity that happened on that contact. So in this case, it was opening a mailing. If we go back into the contacts tab, you also have the unsubscribe tab. So these are contacts that have either unsubscribed themselves or that you have unsubscribed. We keep them in our database, but we do not bill for these contacts as opposed to a lot of the other email marketing platforms out there. Incorrect addresses, here you'll find email addresses that people have entered with typos, or if you're getting hard bounces or soft bounces. The next tab is deleted, so if ever you do delete a contact, this is where you can find them and you can get them back for a limited period of time. Now let's go to the Add Contacts section. You have 2 options here, adding a single contact manually. So you would put the email address and any other information that you have for that contact, even the custom fields. Then you would select which group you want to add this contact to, in this case, test 2. Just to note, no dynamic groups will be found here as those groups are populated dynamically and you can't actually manually add a contact into that group. They have to respect that group's criteria that was previously set. Then you would choose a type of consent. There are many different types of consent and I highly recommend reading our guide on consent that I'll show you in a little bit. And then when you're done adding all this information, you go save. The next option that we have is actually importing a contact list So you can choose between XLSX, CSV, TSV, or TXT files, which are all acceptable. When you have your file selected, open. And then Cyber Impact will automatically detect all the different columns that you have in your Excel spreadsheet. So in this case, you can see it detected the email address, the first name, the last name, the language. It's not filled, so there's nothing there. And then all of the different columns you can see here. You could also activate or deactivate columns at will. So if you wanted to, I don't want the memo column to be active, so just inactive. And then, you know what? Proof of consent, let's just take that out, and then consent date. And the rest seems kind of okay. So let's just go next. Now you can see we are at the consent portion. I highly recommend segmenting out your contacts that have implied consent versus express consent. This way, you know your lists are actually clean and all the contacts that are held within have the proper type of consent. So for this one, let's just say that these are active clients. They're clients that I've had a business relationship with that I've purchased from my company in the past 24 months. So let's just go with implied. And then let's do indicate what the date is. So in this case, let's just pick today. So from this day, you have 2 years to contact these people until you need to ask for consent again. Then we go next, and then we pick which groups we want to add them to. So in this case, test 2. And then you have a few options here. Update contacts, yes, no, but I want to add them to the selected groups, or no, I only want to add the new contacts. So for this example, we'll just go with yes. Go import, and then you can see in the bottom left here, import in progress. You can keep using the application. Once it's done, it will prompt you, and if there are any invalid email addresses, it'll let you know. So as you can see, my import is now completed and all of the emails were added as there weren't any incorrect addresses or invalid entries. So now you can go OK. As a side note, if ever you have duplicate contacts, we automatically detect those and won't add contacts that are already in Cyber Impact. We'll just update the information if that's what you choose to do. And we also don't bill for unsubscribes. And if you do accidentally upload a list that has unsubscribed contacts within, you won't be able to add those contacts as they need to be the ones to resubscribe themselves. So going back to contacts here real quick, go to add contacts. And then here is our castle guides. So if you were to click on this, you get a complete PDF on all the types of consent and what they are. Really a very important guide to read. I highly recommend it. Moving on to templates. So in templates, if you have any created already, you will see them right here, which you can also tag. So for example, if you have a bunch of templates that are, I don't know, for the holidays, as you can see here, you can assign a holiday tag to it. So let's just go tags and let's go holiday. So holiday here, confirm. And then if you click on the holiday tag up here, it'll filter out and you will get all of the different templates that are tagged with holiday. Now that we looked at that real quick, you also have deleted templates. So if ever you delete a template, you get 30 days to retrieve it. Now moving on to create a template. You have a few options here. So the first one is start from empty. So this is just from scratch, a blank template. You also have pre-drawn templates here, which you can choose from. So considering it's the back to school season, those are the ones that we can see first. But you can also filter them out. So let's say the next holiday is Halloween. You can do Halloween and see all of the templates that are available. All of these can be modified as well. The next option is smart templates. So if you upload your logo, you choose a brand color and you go apply, and then you pick a theme. So we have fresh and clean, distinct blocks, or dark and timeless. You go generate my templates. It will generate 12 templates for that theme with your logo and your brand color, which you can then edit as you wish. The next option that we have is HTML. So if you know how to code HTML, you can go in and code your own custom HTML templates. For the sake of this example, let's just stick with pre-drawn and let's go back to all categories and pick a start from an empty template. This is our template editor in Cyber Impact. So there's a lot of things here, so I'm going to try and go over everything as best as I can. So the first thing we're going to do is add a block. So you have a multitude of different choices here, from 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, and 4 columns to social networks, coupons, and all that. I'm going to go through all of these. So generally speaking, people usually put an image as a header. So let's pick the image block and drag and drop it up here. Here you have a few options. You can add spacing on the top or the bottom, and this is something you can do in every block within the template editor. Now we have the image properties. So you can choose to resize your image as such with the slider. You can choose to not resize it on mobile. So you can choose from My Images, which are images that you have either on your computer or already saved on the Cyber Impact app, or the Image Library, which are all copyright-free images from Pixabay. So if we were to pick something like Back to School, considering it's the season, let's just go with that. And sure, this one. And you select it, and it'll change that image for whatever you just selected. You can also edit the image with our built-in image editor. There are a few things you can do here. You can crop it, you can change the alignment, you can add text to it if you want. So let's just say XYZ Company. And let's just move that over here a little bit, move that back like this. And make this a little bit bigger, maybe like that. And maybe change the color as well. We can't see that very well. And maybe change the font, something like this. And then you go save. And quit editing. And now the changes are reflected in the image block itself. You can also choose to align the image if it doesn't take up the entirety of the image block. You must put alternative text. All the emailers actually look at images and see if there's alternative text. What alternative text is, when you read an email without the images downloaded, this is what you will see. So if we were to put no alternative text here and we preview it in the text version, go generate. As you can see, there's nothing here because you only have an image. If we were to put Back to School image with Apple on book, then you go text version, you go generate again, you can see that the actual image is there, the description of whatever you put in the alternative text. So I highly recommend always putting alternative text. You can also put links. So if we were to put like that, for example, then the image would link to google.com. Moving down the blocks here, you also have multi-column blocks. So 2 columns, mostly images and text. As you can see, there's different sizes here. You can have images larger or narrower and more text, whatever you want to do. There are a lot of different options to choose from. You also have 3 and 4 columns, again, images and text. And if we were to actually pick one of these, so let's just say we want images again. When you click on this block, you have the option of mobile display. So if we were to look at this email in mobile, you can see that the images are quite large and blown out. What you can do in this situation is go keep columns side by side. And now you can see it's much easier to read, much nicer to look at than the blown out images that you had previously. As for the rest, it functions very similarly to the previous image block. You click on the image that you want to change, and then you do everything that you want to do here, align, alternative text, links, and pick the images you want to include. Moving on to social networks. So you can include all of your social networks in an email campaign. So you can choose what they look like. In this case, let's change the language to English. Let's take that out, send to a friend. We want a little bit of color in here. Let's pick that. And also, I want to include YouTube and, you know what, maybe the website as well. Okay, so then you would put your website link, all the different social media links within here, and then whenever somebody clicks on these, it will redirect them to those social medias that you have. We also have coupon blocks. If you have the need to send out coupons, you can do so. Calendar events, which is very neat. So you drag in the calendar event block here, and let's just make it a little bit bigger. And then you fill out all of the details of that specific event, and then when you send out the campaign, people can just click on the calendar they use and it will automatically add the event to their calendar, making it super easy to get people to join events and save a time slot in their calendar. We also have micro surveys. So if we take a micro survey here, as you can see, micro surveys are a little bit different because the content is dynamic and will be changed based on the survey that you assign to it. So in this case, if we click on this, I believe I have a test survey here. Yes, you can see choose a survey and then it'll change whatever you have that survey set as. So in this case, it's test and the answers are yes and no. And then you can change all of the colors of it. So if we wanted to put it, blue, and then change the buttons, change the alignments, you can pretty much do whatever you want here in terms of display, how you want the survey to be shown. But you do have to make the survey prior to including it into the block. But this is a great way to get feedback from the people you are sending out content to quickly. We also have video blocks. So if you drag in a video block here, you put in the actual URL of YouTube or Vimeo, and the preview image will be automatically generated. And then if somebody clicks on the video, it will redirect them to where the video is hosted. We also have consent blocks, as I mentioned earlier. If there is consent that expires, these are blocks that you would use to actually ask people for consent to keep sending them content. So if you have a contact that has consent expiring tomorrow, you can use this block to ask them for consent yet again, and then they would actually turn into express consent because they said, yes, I want to keep receiving mailings from this company. You also have spacers and dividers, RSS and Atom feeds. So these are a little bit more of a niche use. People with websites that have blogs or articles, they would connect their RSS feed on here. And then whenever they send out with that RSS block, it'll dynamically change the content based on what they have on their RSS feed on their website. So very useful for news websites. We also have countdown timers. So if you have the need for a countdown timer, you can change it, change what it looks like, date to count down to. So if you have a special event coming up, you can change that. Let's say October 16th, and then change the time to 12:45. You can do all that. And now you can see 49 days, 21 hours and such. Change the color maybe to, light blue like that. So you can do a lot of things with this countdown timer. And finally, one of my favorite parts of the template editors is custom blocks. So let's say you have created custom blocks for your first template, and these are the blocks that you're going to use the most. What you can do is go, well, you know what? I want this triple column one. I'm going to save this as triple image. You go save, and then if you go to custom blocks, you'll see it's right here. So as you can see, I have a lot of custom blocks saved. So whenever you actually made a block that you like, you find is nice, and you want other people to use, save it as a custom block. It'll save you a lot of time later down the line. Once you have finished building out your email, you can go preview in browser. So this is what it'll look like. And then preview in mobile. And you can also preview the text version as I had previously shown you. You can also test the mailing. So if you want to send out the mailing to your own inbox prior to sending it out, you can do that. Then you go save template, you give it a title, and then you go save. And then close the editor, and it'll bring you back to the templates, and you can find your newly saved template here. Moving on to mailings. So here you have 4 tabs. So previous mailings, any mailing that was sent out, scheduled mailings, mailings that are coming up, drafts, and deleted drafts. So as you can see here, I have 2 mailings that were sent out, and you can see the subject, the recipient, the language, the delivery date, opening rate, click rate, unsubscriptions related to this specific email campaign that you send out. And you can also go here and click on statistics to see a little bit more details on those statistics, like link clicks. If you had any links within your campaign, you can see all of the people that clicked on it, update profile forms if you had one included, and so forth. Going back to mailings, now we want to actually send out a campaign. So hit new mailings, and then you pick your template. So for this example, we'll pick the one that I just created, select, and it'll ask you, do you want to actually customize the content of this template? Yes or no. If you hit yes, it'll bring you back to the template editor. If you hit no, it'll bring you to the mailing configurations. So you can give it a subject line with a placeholder if you want. So if you want to actually address somebody by their first name in the subject line, you put it like this, and this will be dynamically changed to whoever you're sending out the email to. You can also insert emojis. Don't get too crazy because emailers do look at this and might refuse it if there's too many. Preview text or not. So if you want people to have a little preview of what's in the email, you can do that. Then you select to whom do you want to send this email out to. Let's just go with test 2. When, right now, or at a later date. So if you pick this, just choose a calendar here and just go December 18th. I want to send it out at 3:15. From whom, so the sender name, sender address, return address, so these can be different from each other. So this is what the people would see in their inbox, so the from who, and then return address, if they hit reply, this is where the email will be sent.
Convert more leads with Cyber Impact targeted emails. Get 25% off for 6 months. Sign up now.
Email footer, you can choose the language and also display an update profile link. Tracking and statistics, so detailed statistics or anonymized if you have the need for that. And you can also connect Google Analytics to your campaigns to see the conversion rate on website. Moving on to forums. So forums are how most people gather contacts for their Cyber Impact account. So you have 4 different options here. Let's start out with the hosted or iframe. So again, you have a few different options here. You can start from scratch, or you can choose a pre-drawn template and then modify it however you see fit. Let's just start with an empty template. Give it a name, test form, choose language, English. Now you have 2 options here. Hosted. A hosted subscription form will give you a URL that only points to that subscription form. There's no link to the website unless you choose to have it like on a click on your website. You can also use this to share through social medias, or you can also generate a QR code directly within Cyber Impact if you want to print it out on a flyer or something. You also have the option for iframes. So iframes will give you a short HTML code, which you will embed on your website, and the subscription form will be visible wherever you see fit. So let's pick the iframe. So this is the form editor. This is where you will decide what information you want to collect from the people that are subscribing to your newsletters. So the email is obviously mandatory. You can also change the title here. So let's just go subscribe to our newsletter. And you can change also the styles if you want. Let's just go with something nice here. What about that? And then if we go back to content, you can drag and drop more fields in here. So let's say we want to also add the first name, get that information from them, and also maybe the last name. And you know what? We also want to know the department in which they work, if it's like an internal communications thing. And then you have a few options here when you actually drop in a custom field. So text field will give them just the liberty to answer whatever they want. Radio button, checkbox, and drop down are going to be pre-made choices that you have decided. So if we go with drop down, let's just fit the content to the form. And then if we click on this, the department here, let's just drag it down. And you can see I have choices here. So let's say actor and lawyer. And then let's add another one here, doctor. And then the people that subscribed will be able to click on this and see those different options. You can also choose if you want a field to be required or not. So let's just go with required for all of them. And then you can modify the design. So if we go design here, you can choose background for it. You can choose background image, background gradient. You can change pretty much anything you can think of within the form itself to make it look nice and fit your brand colors. So once you have done all of this, we're going to go to the settings up in the top left. Now, as you can see here, you could decide to go from hosted to iframe directly here. So if we go back to hosted, you can see share on social networks or get a QR code for that specific form. But let's go back to iframe. Double opt-in, we always suggest having on. This will prevent things like invalid email addresses because somebody had a typo. And this is also considered express consent. So you have the ability to communicate with those contacts forever until they unsubscribe themselves. If you turn this off, it says using a single opt-in allows people to add an email address to your contacts without having them confirm they are the owner. So somebody could subscribe somebody to a newsletter without their knowledge. And this also counts as implied consent. So later down the line, you'll have to ask these people for consent again. So we always suggest keeping double opt-in on. Now you have confirmation pages. So when somebody actually fills out the subscription form, this is what they would see. So you can see a confirmation has been sent to you by email. Please click the confirm my email button that you will find in this email. And then once they actually confirm the subscription, view default page, your subscription has been successfully confirmed. You can also insert your own custom pages here and host them on your website. Subscription types. So we have 3 different options here. Hidden. This is something that you'll choose on your end. So let's just take test 2. The person will never know what group they're subscribed to. This is something that you chose. You can give people the option to choose which groups they're subscribing to. So if we go with multiple choices, unfortunately I only have one group here, but let's just add let's say it was a recreation center. So they have multiple different activities like tennis. And let's also add football, badminton. And let's get rid of this one. So if you have multiple choices like this, you can easily segment your contacts this way. So people can select, well, I want to hear from badminton, I want to hear from football, and I want to hear from tennis, or I only want to hear from badminton, I'm not interested in the other 2. They can do that. Really easy way to segment your contacts. The last one is single selection. So you give them multiple choices and they can pick one. So let's stick with multiple choices here so you can see what it looks like. Going back to form, Fit to content. You can see now the groups that they're allowed to subscribe to have been displayed in the form. Let's just drag this down here. And then people could pick one or multiple ones. Okay, now that you're done completing your form, go save, and then we can go get code. And this is the piece of HTML code that you need to integrate in your website. There's also an FAQ dedicated to this if you don't know how to integrate this code. Let's go quit. And you can see the code here again. Going back to forms, now you can see I actually have a form saved within my Cyber Impact account, and any change I make to this form will change it wherever it is on the web. So if you also already have an iframe integrated on your website, you don't need to reintegrate it if you're making changes to it. It'll just automatically change everything, even if it's already integrated. Going back to add a form here, you have an update profile form. What this is, very similar to this one, it gives people that are already subscribed to your newsletter the opportunity to change information in their contact sheet, even change their email address. So this would be something that you're integrating directly in an email campaign once you have it created. So if we go here, let's just go update form, choose language, English. Always keep this active. I wouldn't suggest having it without email verification. Go start. And then you'll see it's very similar to what we just went over. So update your profile. You could modify the email address, first name, last name, preferred language. And you can also maybe ask them for more information. Okay, what's your phone number? Just put it here. Let's just do a text field like this, drag this up. So you could always have more information from your contacts without having it set right on your website. If you have too many fields to fill out for a subscription form for a newsletter, chances are you might not get as many subscriptions. But this way, if you have an update profile form, people are already subscribed and they might be more willing to give you more information. So let's just go quit. And we're not going to save it before exiting. Going back again to the forms, we also have the option for you to have a pop-up form on your website. So if you choose this option, you have a few different ways to make it. So you can have it with images on the left, right, or none. Let's just select English, pop-up, start. So here's what it will look like. It gives you an idea of what it looks like on the website itself. And then you can do pretty much the same as we just went over with the hosted or iframe form. You pick all the information you want to get from those contacts that are visiting your website. And if we go to the settings here, this is where you would select, okay, well, I want this pop-up form to show up 30 seconds after the person visited the web page. No, I want to show it on exit intent. So if somebody clicks on the exit button on your web page, the pop-up will appear. Or I want it to show on a click. So if you want to link it to a specific button on your website, you can. And then what's the display frequency? Well, if you have one of these two options, you can select it. So I want somebody to be able to see this every week. You don't want to be too intrusive, but you want to remind people to subscribe to your newsletter. Your website URL, so you put whatever your website URL is. Opt-in, always suggested to keep double opt-in on. Thank you page. And then it's the same as I went over earlier, hidden multiple choice single selections. Once you save it, you can get the code for that specific pop-up form. And we also have an FAQ dedicated to pop-up forms itself. And then finally, we also have the opportunity for you to create your own custom HTML forms. If you know how to code, this is a very, very powerful option. To note that these custom HTML forms are not saved on Cyber Impact. They would be completely on your end. They're only linked to your Cyber Impact account. Moving over to marketing automation, which is a quite imposing feature in Cyber Impact. So here you have scenarios or archived scenarios. As you can see, I have none right now. Let's go new scenario. So here we have a couple of pre-drawn scenarios. So if you want to send somebody a welcome email when they subscribe via a subscription form, you can. If you want to, oh, here, this one's interesting, consent campaigns. So maybe you want to automate your consent campaigns because you have a lot of implied consent contacts in your Cyber Impact account. You can do it automatically without having to send out manual campaigns to everybody that has consent that has expired. So that's interesting. Events, so if you want to send somebody a birthday email, maybe a week before their birthday, you can do that. And all of these scenarios can be customized. So let's go with create my own scenario. So let's give the scenario a name, test scenario. Check that box. So first you have to select how many times do I want somebody to go through this scenario? Only once or multiple times? The best example I can give for multiple times is a birthday. You'd want somebody to systematically go through this scenario every year. Then you also have the mailing statistics, so you can go detailed or anonymized. Okay, so the first thing you want to do after that is select a trigger. So we have a multitude of different triggers to choose from here. So for this example, we're going to go with subscription from a form. Okay, which form? Well, I want it to be the test form. Okay, perfect. Now what are we doing? Well, I'm going to send them a welcome email. Okay, so let's go pick this template that we created earlier. These are the mailing configurations for this specific campaign. So let's go welcome email. Preview text, again, you can choose to put some in or not. The language, let's go English. Sender name, sender address, return address. So exactly the same as the previous configuration we did. So let's just go add. And then it'll ask you, do you want to edit the template for this mailing? Yes. It'll bring you to the template editor, or later, you can also edit it later. So let's just click that. Okay, so they subscribed via subscription form. We sent them a mailing. What are we doing now? Well, you know what? I want to have a dependent action. So let's go open to mailing. If they open that mailing within 9 days, okay, they're going to go down the yes path. If they didn't open the mailing within 9 days, they're going to go down the no path. And what are we doing from there? Well, let's just say they went down the yes path. Let's just say, do they match this criteria? All criteria, custom fields plus. Oh, this is interesting. Let's just go with department. Are they in human resources? And do they speak English? Add. Oh, yes, no, more branches. If they fulfill these criteria, they're going down yes. If they don't, what are we doing? And what are we doing for these people that went down the no path initially? Are we sending them a second welcome email? If we want to do that, new mailing, select the email you want to use, or the template that is. Welcome. Again, preview text, same thing. Do all of the mailing configurations, go add, choose if you want to actually edit the template later, and then you can keep going like this. So you can create pretty insane scenarios that allow you to really bring contacts down a custom journey based on the interactivity that they have with your emails, or based on the criteria that they have in their contact sheet. So you can do something that's super specific to your industry or business, or you can do something a little bit more general, like a welcome email or a birthday email, which is super powerful. This is a very easy way to keep your contacts and customers engaged with your brand. And it is a very powerful tool. There's a lot of things to do here. And I would highly recommend using this if you are going with Cyber Impact. So once this is done, you schedule your scenario activation. So the name is fine. And you pick, well, I want to start it now or at a later date. So you could create scenarios ahead of time and then pick a later date. So if you want to have, I don't know, a scenario for December for the whole month, like an event calendar, well, you can do that. And then you can say, well, I want it to end on the 24th, so the day before Christmas. And then what do we do from here? Do we put it on pause, or do we archive the scenario? So as you can see here, if you put it on pause, no new contacts will enter the scenario. However, contacts currently going through the scenario will continue until they reach the end, or you can archive it, and this will just halt all scenario activity. So we'll just go with pause, activate scenario. And then there you go. On the 24th of this, or the 1st of December, this scenario will be activated and it will be paused on the 24th. Within Cyber Impact, we also have a really detailed FAQ, which you can go to by clicking on the question mark up here. And there's also a ton of settings and configurations that you can change, which I will go through very quickly. So if we go with account information, here you can change the actual account information. You can also set notifications if you have new subscribers or when consent is about to expire. Sender addresses and domain names. So this allows you to add domain names to your sender addresses. So as you can see here, I have a few, and the reason they're red is because there's no DKIM or DMARC policies that are valid for these domain names. So let's say you add your domain name, which is info@test.com. Okay, you go okay. Then it says, well, first you have to validate that you are actually the owner of this email address. So as you can see here, this actual email address isn't validated. You can see here, no. And free email addresses cannot be authenticated. It has to be a custom domain. So let's just go with XYZ here. As you can see, there's no DKIM policy, but we make it really easy to authenticate. So if you click on authenticate domain, you can see all of the instructions to authenticate that domain name and make sure that those policies are in place, because emailers do look at that when they are receiving mailings from a service like ours to make sure that it's not a scam or fraud or phishing email. So super important to do. If you're not the one that's taking care of this, really easy. You copy the instructions here, put it in an email to your IT person, and let them take care of it. We also have custom fields. So this is where you would manage all of your custom fields within Cyber Impact. So as you can see here, I have around 10, and you can also see if some of them have dependencies. So as you can see here, the department has a dependency, and that dependency was in the marketing scenario that we just created. Email confirmations. So when you have the double opt-in, you can see what those emails look like. So if you preview the subscription email here, you can see that the button's purple. If I were to change this color to dark blue, preview, you can see it changed. You can also include the logo of your company if you want the logo to appear in the confirmation email. You can also put custom text here. Same thing for unsubscriptions. We are going to quit this with saving. Moving on to users. So this is where you would invite new people to your Cyber Impact account. There is no limit to how many users you can have. It is unlimited. So there's no need for people to share passwords or usernames, because there's also mandatory 2FA within Cyber Impact to really keep everything secure, and always having to bother the person that has access to that 2FA can be a little bit annoying. So highly recommend everybody have their own username and password. Moving on, email footer. So this is where you would put all the legally required information for sending out marketing emails. So company name, address, city, postal code, country, province, an email address that can actually be reached, and a phone number as well. And then if you have the Pro plan, you can choose to hide the Cyber Impact logo or not. You can enter all your virtual social networks here, and whenever you drag a social network block in your campaign, they'll all be pre-populated, and then you can pick and choose which ones you want to add. Cyber Impact also offers an open API from the Plus or Pro plans. So if you have the need for the API, you can create a new API token and then use that. We also have a complete API documentation available. I'm almost done here, I promise. You also have the opportunity to actually save files and images on Cyber Impact itself. So if you go to My Files here, you can see I have an image folder here with different images already saved. That way, people don't have to go on the Google Drive of the company or the OneDrive or the SharePoint. You can have one person put all the visual assets required in this file or folder, and then you can use those in your email campaigns. On the left here, you have direct actions. So create a template that'll bring you to the templating tool, add contacts, schedule a mailing, create a form. Oh, consult your statistics. So you can consult the global statistics of your account. So current delivery period, deliveries for the last 6 periods, unsubscriptions. So you can see why people are unsubscribing, if there's any spam complaints. And you can also export the entirety of the statistics of your account. You also have the micro surveys, which can be done here. So if we click on this, click on new survey, give the survey title, put an end date, not mandatory, then you put the question, possible answers, and then whenever you drag a micro survey block in a template, you can choose whichever survey you want to add to that template, and it will change the content for whatever you have here. And finally, we also have a little nifty calendar here, which you can click on. And here you can see something a little bit more global, so month per month. And we also have all of the major holidays here. So as you can see, Labor Day is here. Then we have Thanksgiving and Halloween. And you can also create your own custom events. As you can see here, I have an annual sale. And if ever you do have mailings scheduled, you'll see them in green. And if you have sent previous mailings in the past, you'll see them in orange, as you can see here. And last but certainly not least, if ever you have any questions, our customer service is awesome and ready to answer them via chat. So this is a very quick way to get in contact with us from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday to Friday. You can also call us or send us an email. We will be happy to help. I hope this gave you a good overview of everything that we have to offer in Cyber Impact. Thank you very much.
Convert more leads with Cyber Impact targeted emails. Get 25% off for 6 months. Sign up now.